Empty heart. And we are live on the SideQuest episode April 25th, 2019. I had to actually check the date today.
Okay.
We are here to talk about games. I'm Dali Domofsky. Joining me in her return is Katy Goodman.
Hello. It's been a while.
It's great to have you back on, Katy.
Good to be back.
Yeah, you've been moving and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, so it's I know times have been busy, but it's good to get you on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always a lovely time. And the one, the only, the Scratty Bones, Erron Kelly. Yeah, all right. Just to the point.
Nothing. I'm to the point. I was doing math. I was trying to figure out the last time Katy was on, and I think it was 2018.
Yeah,
it was the Game Awards 2018 show.
It was the Game Awards.
Yeah.
It was like Blade Runner and then the Game Awards, and then I just kind of disappeared off the face of the planet for a little while.
That's all right.
So,
That's all right. Those are still two of the best episodes we've ever put together. So it's always positive.
I want to get back into gaming, so I need to. It's gonna be like my coping mechanism to deal with.
Things. You're coming in at a great time because we're heading straight. We're on the train. I'm like making hand signals. We're heading right towards E3. There's gonna be tons of announcements. I'm sure we'll be
those.
It's actually a quiet time right now. It's abnormally quiet. Usually there's still like, game announcements and news trickling out. There hasn't been a whole lot of game announcements. I think there's a lot being saved.
I mean, how can you say that when Days Gone just came out?
That's right. All the focus and attention is on that. Well, let us talk about what we've been playing. I'm assuming none of us have played Days Gone.
No.
God, no.
Nope.
I almost said Dave's Gone, and I thought, it would have been so sad to see Dave.
Dave is gone.
Dave is gone. Katy, since it's your first time back on in a while, what have you been playing?
Since 2018.
A lot of things. But more recently I've been playing Dishonored 2. So I know it's kind of like
I love it.
It's been on my backlog for a long time, but I just forgot how much I love like the overall aesthetic of the game, the morality system. Bethesda just did a really good job kind of blending those things together in it. So, and I love like I try and play it like a stealth game, but then I can't because it's so fun to kill people still.
Yes,
the combat's great. So, I just get high chaos all the time.
I learned that in the first Dishonored game, which I thought I'm gonna just do stealth the whole way, and I'm gonna try to keep everybody alive and then try to survive. And then at some point you're like, God, it's so fun to use these attacks and to just outright murder people.
Yeah, it's like you get really upset so you kill one person. You're like, well, it's too late now. I'm just gonna kill everybody.
Too late now.
I used to be that person with video games that had stealth, and then I broke it on the first new Deus Ex game.
Oh God, that's so hard.
I went for the hardest difficulty full stealth double achievement which is a run through the whole game, and I did it, and then one of the achievements popped and the other one didn't. And I was like, it broke. It was the stealth one that didn't pop, and I was like, it broke me.
Oh no.
No.
But you had to do stealth to get the other achievement, so it fucking broke me. I can't do it anymore. I can't be the stealth guy. I'll do it until it's mildly inconvenient, and then it's just now everybody's dead.
What I love about games like that, though, and I think Dishonored does a really good job of it, is it like offers two completely different ways to play the game. Like, because there's such a strategy that you can approach with playing it as a stealth game, and it does a really good job of acting as a stealth game in itself. So, but at the same time, the combat is good enough to where it can serve, and like the playing high chaos is still equally as rewarding in a different kind of play style.
It kind of it didn't go under the radar, but it didn't get the exposure I think that it rightfully deserved. The first Dishonored was great. I loved it, and it's on my backlog because I'm going to play it again. It's on my play again backlog on
especially with the remastered edition.
Yeah, so I'm playing the remastered edition. And Dishonored 2, I haven't cracked that open yet, but I've played little bits here and there at like trade shows and stuff. And Dishonored 2 kind of flew under the radar because there's a bunch of other releases coming out at the time, and Bethesda was like juggling that, and I think it was the first Doom or something, or I don't know.
Doom, I think it was coming out around the same time as that.
Yeah, and so it was a little more difficult to put the the
maybe even Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was before that.
Oh yeah, Fallout 4 was before the year before that. Okay, so it's a great. I enjoyed what I've played of it. I always, and I'm looking forward to getting into it. I'm glad that somebody else is is in there because I think like it's a series that needs to continue. To be honest,
yeah, for sure. And the story is intriguing. Like the lore is like it's very subtle, but it's also kind of played throughout the game really intricately as well, coming across things with like how you get the dark power and stuff like that. So, and then multiplayer wise, I've been playing some like PUBG, Sea of Thieves every now and then.
I have not played Sea of Thieves.
It's only fun with friends.
Okay,
otherwise it's very boring.
I think Tom said the same thing. Tom played it and he said it's only fun with people you might know. So
yeah, and it maybe alcohol. Alcohol helps.
Maybe that could probably help. I mean, pirates, right? Pirates were known for that.
Yep. Do a little bit of role playing with that. Oh wait, no, I've been playing Divinity 2: Original Sin. Sorry, I completely forgot. That game is so great. We have like a Monday like D&D session now where we play that. I love it.
Really?
Yeah. It's super fun.
I reviewed that game for SideQuesting, I think.
Did you?
I think so. I'm checking it right now.
Yeah, that was the World on Fire review.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far into it are you?
Oh God, we only play for like 3 hours every Monday. So we just got our source collars off. So we're still on the island. We're just getting off.
Yeah, that game goes places.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But it's just like I don't know. It's like the D&D experience without having to deal with the complexity of D&D at the same time.
Can I give you a single piece of advice for that game that I wish I would have known without spoiling anything?
Yes, you can, because it took us like 5 hours to get off the island.
if you're picking talents going forward, like if you get the option to like add new talents, don't go for the one that lets you speak with animals.
I want that one though.
No,
Why?
Because I don't want to say anything without spoiling it because you're not too far into the game, but it's really sad. Like, and not like quest wise, just incidental dialogue with animals. It's like, oh my God, this is depressing. Don't go for it. Don't
like
go for it.
Slaughterhouse and suddenly I can talk to animals. Great.
A little bit.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for that advice.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at your review right now, and I love that the main image is just everything on fire. Wonderful. The caption is, "I created a world on fire, and the game decided it wanted in on the fun."
Yeah.
And every shot that you posted has like tons of fire in it.
Listen, you give me magic in a game and let me decide what that magic is going to be. I'm going to burn everything. Like, that's just how it's going to be.
And the magic in that game you can have a lot of control over. So.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, nice. I remember trying that game out at PAX East a few years back. I think it was in 2017.
They always have a huge booth.
They do, and they had a booth. I don't know if they had a booth this year or not. I don't know if they were showing, because they have that new game that they announced, right? The new Divinity game. But
wait, what?
Well, didn't they announce a new Divinity game?
Did they announce a new Divinity game?
I don't know. I know at PAX West last year, they had a huge booth for Divinity again, but it was for
Divinity Fallen Heroes.
Oh, that's new. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, I've just made Erron extremely excited. Ooh. I thought you would have known about that. Yeah, they announced it right during the beginning of PAX East. Maybe that's why, because we didn't podcast with you, so that's why, Erron.
And I didn't go to PAX East.
And you didn't go to PAX East. I loved the Divinity games. That's a huge universe that they've built up. Secretly a giant universe, like all the Divinity games. Original Sin, Divinity 1 and 2 are they're kind of, I mean, they have that sort of that action RPG genre, but that franchise has tons of games. There's like Divine Divinity, Beyond Divinity, Divinity Dragon Commander. There's a developer cut. There was like a strategy a book style game that was in there as well. So there's
are they all based in the same universe?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh man,
kind
that's
of.
Interesting.
Yeah, sort kind of, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's like the Divinity, just flat out that like Divinity and Divinity 2, I think are set in the same universe as Original Sin, but like way in the past or something. Something like that. Something where there's enough wiggle room that you can just be like, well, but yeah, there's a new one. I got to play it. The new one's set in the Original Sin 2 universe.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, according to their website.
Excellent. Yep. So I will. I've got to get back into Divinity 2. It's one of the games that's been sitting on my backlog. I think I have it started. I got onto the island. I was just about to get off the island, and that's where my quest stopped.
Oh no.
So.
Yeah, it's a lot of the co-op is a lot of fun to play with your friends.
Definitely. It is totally. Yeah. What? Anything else you've been playing?
No, that's pretty much it right now.
Okay, Aaron. What about you, my buddy, my pal?
I put 8 minutes short of 40 hours into Final Fantasy 15, and the goddamn game bugged on me.
No.
Yeah, so I saw you tweeting about this or posting about this.
Yep. I was walking around and I was doing a bunch of like side quests, and I went to do a hunt. And I walked into the fight, and all of a sudden I couldn't swing my sword. And I went into the gear option because I was like, did I somehow unequip all my weapons? And I couldn't get into the gear option for the main character, and I couldn't get into the gear option for the bodyguard. And he wasn't attacking, and so I just I couldn't do anything about it. So I ran away, tried to find a fix, tried to reload an old save, and the bug had somehow progressed across all my saves.
No, how did that happen?
I have no idea. So I started Googling, and everybody was like, yeah, you can fix this if you go into the debug menu and run this command. The debug menu is only accessible from an EXE that was accidentally stolen, or not accidentally leaked after it was stolen from somebody from Square Enix. It was for internal use only, and it's been pulled from the internet.
That sounds really safe.
So I was like, all right, I'm not going to do that. And then somebody else just randomly had said, all right, here's what you got to do. You got to drive the car around a bunch yourself, and you got to fish a bunch because it flips to different control schemes from the combat one. And then once you're done doing that, it'll flip back to the main control scheme, and it will be the default control scheme, and it'll fix. Totally worked. So I can play the game again. So I've been playing Final Fantasy 15. I'm like, I think 50 or 60 hours into it at this point.
It's a great game.
It's surprisingly good. It's very reminiscent of Final Fantasy 8, and that's my favorite one. So I went into this game thinking, oh, I'm not gonna like this. A lot of people are saying things that sound like things I wouldn't like, and I'm just playing this game, and I just ran through a train sequence, and I was like, this is really like Final Fantasy. I'm like looking at the train. I'm like, this train has a really flat roof. I'm going to end up on that train roof at some point because that's a Final Fantasy game. And sure enough, you end up on that train roof fighting stuff. It's not the first
train in a Final Fantasy game either, so that's awesome.
Yeah. But
no. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that game's surprisingly good.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment that happens, I think in chapter 12, where the main antagonist of the game is acting like really out of character, and everybody hated it. I played through it once, and I was like, well, it's obviously not the main character. There's some shit going on. And then it turns out I was right, and I don't understand how people didn't get that. But anyway.
Huh.
Yeah.
I haven't played it. It's also on my backlog. I bought it when it well, here's the funny thing. I bought it when it released, thinking, because I have played every Final Fantasy on release day. Except for 14, and except for Final Fantasy 13-2 and 13-3, which I'm just waiting for a remaster of those. So
are they going to do
that? I'm sure they're going to. In fact, I think they're gonna do that this. I think that'll be their announcement because they're actually having another E3 press conference this year. So unless we see Final Fantasy 7 again, who knows? We might.
No, fuck them. Give me the Final Fantasy 8 re-release. God damn it.
Yeah, that would be. I wouldn't be surprised if they say, you know what, we found the code, the missing code to Final Fantasy VIII. We can actually do it. So, So I bought it, and it sat on my. Been sitting on my shelf. I think I installed it, and that's all I did. Then I uninstalled it because I didn't even start to play. And at the point now, I should just buy the Royal Edition, which has everything for $15, because there's no need for me to buy the DLC on this one because I can buy the full game for like $15. So
yep,
I'll have a second copy of the game.
I was in a similar boat where I bought the Windows Edition, I think the day it came out, which came with all of the DLC except the one that just came out last week. And I couldn't run it. I was getting like 0.4 frames a second or something like that.
Wow. Oh man.
So I could just my computer was just too old, and I finally got a hardware upgrade this past month. So I decided to try it again, and it looks awful. Like it's at the lowest possible graphics you can have with everything disabled, but it runs at a solid 30. So, but yeah, that game I think my biggest takeaway from 15 is it seems like the most extreme reaction to the complaints of 13. Because 15 was in development around the same time. Like they announced 13, and 13 came out, and then 15 was originally going to be 13 verses, and then they made it Final Fantasy 15. But 13 is like you're walking through a hallway for 90% of that game, except for one spot where it's an open world. And this one is like you do 5 minutes of intro cutscene, and then it's just open world. It's like, yeah, go nuts.
Yeah. I still loved 13 now. That like I don't know why, but that game has such a close place in my heart.
I really enjoyed 13. I think the characters are great. The plot was enjoyable.
The combat was good.
Combat was good. Yeah, that first part of the game is a corridor.
Is phenomenal. I love the soundtrack for 13.
Yeah, let's hope and pray for if not a remake, just playable on modern consoles.
That would be really nice. Because I can't play like 13 on PC. It doesn't run. It still doesn't run right. So.
Okay.
That's actually my favorite part about 15. When you're in the car, when you stop at a gas station, most of the gas stations sell the soundtracks to the previous Final Fantasy games.
Oh, yeah.
So you can just play the soundtracks from previous games in your car when you're driving around, which is like
a Final Fantasy 6 contract.
It's in there. Sure. I think they're all in there. Like I was listening to Final Fantasy 1 the other day, but 13's on there.
They're so good.
Yep.
So good.
Cool.
That is everything I played.
That just the Final Fantasies. Okay.
60 hours of it since last week. Yep.
That's amazing. God bless you.
Yep.
Let's see. What have I been playing? I have been playing SteamWorld Quest. I can actually talk about SteamWorld Quest now. Lord knows I'm a fan of the series because I love the art style. I love just kind of the quirkiness, the attention to detail that the studio puts into the games. And I love, steampunk robots.
Yeah.
And so they're just fun games. Anyways, this is their take on an RPG. And I think in my review, which went live yesterday at some point, I said I'd always wanted sort of an RPG set in this kind of universe. I didn't realize that a card version, like a card battling version, was what I would get, and so I was a little bit apprehensive. But oh man, is it so good! It is. It adds the problem I have, and a lot of people have with turn-based RPGs, like JRPG style, is that it gets very repetitive, and you just you're just spamming attack. Your characters, your teams get overpowered. You just spam attack, and that's it, right? So you don't even go off that path of trying different spell sets and move sets and combos.
That's one of the biggest complaints in 15.
Yes, yep. And the same reason a lot of people don't like Octopath Traveler and amazing games like that. But this game forces you to experiment because you essentially get a deck of cards that you can you have to pull 8 from for each of the characters in your party, and you can kind of rotate the characters in your party. So you have 3 party members, 8 cards per party member, and then the cards shuffle just like every other card type game. But because it's turn-based, it's kind of like Slay the Spire in a way, but has much more of a traditional JRPG feel to it. And as you're picking these different cards and taking your turns, you can put some back and swap some out. But there's this amazing satisfaction, and it's so hard to explain why, but I'll be low on life, and I won't have enough steam power or steam pressure, I think they call it in the game, to activate any of the cards that I have in my hand. You have to sort of build them up with weaker cards, and I won't get weak cards for like 2 or 3 rounds, and my characters will get pulverized. But then that one moment when I get a freaking card that lets me earn steam pressure, I'm so excited because that sets off a chain reaction of move sets that I can start to do, and magic and buffs and debuffs and healing, and it changes the strategy almost instantly. So there's this really weird, like I said, a really weird satisfaction of the randomness of the game kind of holding you back and then weirdly rubber banding you forward when you get that one card that you've been really like looking forward to. It's just a really fun game. Great cast of characters. The Image and Form folks always seem to do a good job of it. I think the only thing that really bugged me about the game was that the level design wasn't super great, just in terms of it's set up in like these rooms, so it's like all these dungeons, and the rooms are connected by doorways, and you can kind of go only a certain distance in each room, and then you go to the next room, and you look around there, and you go to the next room and fight an enemy in there. All the rooms kind of look the same, so there's not a lot of we're getting views around Katy's apartment there, her house there. So it doesn't seem like there's a ton of variety in the environment design within the levels themselves, but the separate levels are all kind of unique. So I just wish there was a little bit more variation in some of those.
Variety in it.
Variety, but they make up for it with the game mechanic and the story and the plot. It really kind of feels like Princess Bride with robots.
Oh my god! Okay, if you put it that way, I feel like I need to try it.
I think it's worth it. It's on Switch right now. I think they haven't said when they're coming to the other consoles and PC and stuff, but they're usually pretty good about not taking too long to get the game out on other platforms. Mm-hmm. So I would not be surprised, and I don't know, but I would not be surprised if I think we'll see the rest, at some point this year for the console. But I don't know for sure. They haven't said anything, so this is just conjecture, but just seems right. But yeah, great games, absolutely fantastic game, and a lot of fun.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah. We don't use like scores, but this is.
You're on a dangerous road here, Dali.
I'm on a dangerous road, so I'm not going to use a score, but it's already I'll just say this: it's already one of my favorite games of the year because I think it's a very complete package. So maybe that's the best way to say it. So yeah, so I've been playing that, and I picked up Ding Dong XL, which is like the stupidest name for a game. It started off on mobile platforms, and it's just
Ding Dong XL.
Ding Dong XL.
It goes so many directions.
It totally can. But it's actually like this sort of rhythm, one button type of game. So just started playing on the Switch. I'm not far enough along to really have an opinion. I've only played for like 5 minutes. And I think I only started playing it right before we started podcasting. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's basically all I've been playing. I've been finishing up the school game and helping my students get to the end level of their education for the semester.
Oh,
That's
man.
a horrible way of saying all this stuff. But yeah, that was
it's a good game to play, though.
It's a good game.
Best game to play.
And just trying to figure out maybe the other game would be just trying to figure out who's going to die on Game of Thrones.
Oh God.
I want to start a Deadpool for the side. A Deathpool.
That was a good segue, by the way.
Yeah. Let's move on. A little bit of Game of Thrones talk because that was dominating everything, and then we're going to get into some more general news. Katy, what do you think? What do you think of this week's episode of Game of Thrones?
I thought it was really fantastic, and I think people have differing opinions just based off of how there wasn't really a lot of action. There was a lot of dialogue, a lot of exposition. But I feel like that was like what was so great about it, because that's like what makes Game of Thrones great. It's like the politics and what goes on between the characters. And we haven't had that in a while. I feel like the last season was just so packed with action. And that to have that like final moment where they're all together and just like seeing the intricacies that have like built up over the seasons that we may have forgotten about, we suddenly like remember. It's like watching a family growing up, which was one reason why it was really awkward to see Arya engaging in like adult activities.
It's like our kid sister growing up, right?
Like, oh
did you guys see that? Did you guys see that tweet?
That she did?
No, the tweet that it was the one going around Twitter after that episode where it was like, at least I'm not the only one that felt uncomfortable, and it was a Google search result of how old is Maisie Williams.
Yep.
And it just spikes at like
skyrocketed after that.
She just never aged. She just never aged.
She's 22 years old. Her character's 18 on the show, so
yeah, both of them are perfectly acceptable and of age. Like, so it was just interesting. But no, I think it was a fantastic episode, and now it's like set up well for the tragedy that is going to occur.
And everybody knows it's going to be a freaking tragedy because this is the biggest episode they've ever done, I believe. And
oh man.
It is. There's gonna be a lot of what do they call this? End Game of Thrones this weekend because all the characters are potentially gonna be dying and all our favorite. I know, boo.
Got some bottles of wine ready.
Yes. What did you think of? Like, there's all kinds of rumors and stuff going on about the battle and who's gonna be there and who's gonna die and all that kind of stuff. But what I felt was really important to me was how a lot of these character arcs sort of wrapped, right? So you had Theon and Sansa, which was I mean,
I love that. I love
I'm
like
a
just
dude in
sitting
my
there
40s, and I was like bawling. I'm like, that's a great scene.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautiful. I thought the the stuff where Sam gives Jorah the sword. I think there were some fantastic moments. Even the that sort of chat between the Hound and Arya when she says, "Do you ever look out for anybody?" He says, "I
looked out for you.
I looked out for you," or whatever, paraphrasing, but yeah. So, what did you think of like a lot of these arcs coming to a close and this sort of feeling, this foreboding feeling of what's about to happen?
I feel like it gives us leads to predict what might happen, because I feel like the closed arcs are the people that are going to die.
Right,
And
right.
the one like stark contrast was like or not Arya, it was Sansa and Dany. That like one conversation they had, that was the
That was
soul
awesome.
moment where there was no closure there at all, and it immediately ended. So I feel like at least they are going to live.
There were a lot of like Saved by the Bell moments in this episode, right?
Yeah. So, but anyway, and like the way that Daenerys was, it seems so insincere still.
That meme, that screen capture of her, have you seen that where she's like leaning in and has that smile like, oh, that's so cute. Oh God, it's great. Someone took a screen capture of her as she's leaning in, and I think Arya had asked her a question and she's like, oh yeah, great. It's a beautiful screen capture that, I have it pulled up on my phone here. Of course, it's great. I'm holding my phone up, but it's this one where she's like, yeah, great.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Great. Everything's great.
Everything's great.
I'm
Sure.
the
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. The
like,
North. The North. Yeah. But
she's pulling a Cersei in that picture.
She kind of is in a weird way. Yeah. Well, it's weird because they the whole series, you're behind her, right? Because she has this sort of rightful throne, the claim to the throne, and she's doing everything she can to get that claim. And now you realize, like last season and this season, you kind of realize the throne is bullshit. It doesn't matter who's on the throne. You'll probably die. It's just always going to lead to bloodshed. And the greater battle is the Night King. I mean, is living versus dead. Who cares who's on the throne? And so I think the Starks have realized that, and like I don't want to say the Northerners, but they've sort of realized it because they're out of the quote unquote game now. But you still have Daenerys and Cersei that are all about the power and that Iron Throne, and it almost makes Daenerys like I'm looking at, and I'm sitting back and I followed her arc, and she is one of my favorite characters in the show, and I was Targaryen true and true, but now I am like almost anti Daenerys on the throne, like that feeling I have.
She almost made she's almost changed too quickly.
Yeah,
I think it's like my one problem with how her character has progressed. Like she went from being this like noble queen who people would follow to like the death to like she just wants the throne. She's just helping.
She's entitled, wants the throne, believes she deserves it
because she loves him and not because she wants to help save the world. Which is originally why she wanted to become queen in the first place, was to unite people and like have peace.
She kind of lost that goal. I think she did a better job over in Essos, where she really did kind of save people. I mean,
liberating people at that point.
Liberating people, and that's so there's all kinds of rumors and theories, and there's a big rumor right now where there's the theory that the Night King is actually not even going to be in this episode, that he's flying down to King's Landing, and he's going to convert all the millions of people that live there, and all the with the Golden Company, and convert them and come up from the south on Winterfell. And this is just this is the big battle, but there's going to be a couple smaller battle scenes. So there's all kinds of theories. I mean, this is the third episode. There's still 3 more episodes, and I can't believe that the dead are completely gone after this episode. So
wait, the dead? No, they are gone after this episode.
No, I can't. I wouldn't believe that they would be, because then you have 3 more. You've built up this living versus dead battle, and I don't think you end it with this one episode. This just started because there's 3 episodes left. So I think there's more. There's gonna be more to it.
Unless the dead die off, and then all of a sudden it's them fighting for the throne again, or maybe. Jon versus Dany. Although I feel like Jon would probably
give it up. Give it up. They forget I don't want the throne.
Dany's not capable of that, I think, at this point.
I don't think Jon's going to survive anyways, but that's.
Do you think he's going to die in the next episode? Or
No, not the next. I think he's going to die probably that last episode.
And then it's going to be revealed that Daenerys is pregnant.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there was something said. I don't know if it was one of the episodes or maybe it was in the books about how Daenerys can't conceive a child unless it was from someone of Targaryen blood or someone or something. So really,
unless she's inbred,
unless she's in the incest,
unless she's from Alabama, then you know
exactly.
Then it's fine.
I'm so excited though. Like we've been like the whole week, me and my coworkers have been talking about this upcoming battle, and of course that song that played.
It's very annoying.
Pod singing Jenny of Old Stones, and then the Florence version of that. I've downloaded it.
Have you read all the lyrics?
Yeah, because they added more lyrics to it than it was in the books. So it's great.
And even then, there were more lyrics in the actual song that you can you listen to it on Spotify and stuff now. But than there were in the show as well.
Yeah, I bought it. I bought the song. I had to. It was so good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Very good. I'm excited. So we'll see what happens. We might have to do We'll definitely do kind of an end of the season Game of Thrones podcast, but we may have to do these weekly check-ins. Okay, let's move on to other news. And there was a good article that kind of broke earlier this week, Aaron. We were kind of chatting about it before the episode started. It was a big article about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Epic and the work.
Oh, okay. So we were talking about this, but I thought that we were going to lead in with the very similar story that came out about NetherRealm.
Oh, go ahead.
I haven't heard this. What is this about?
So on Twitter, I don't have the Twitter links handy, but there's been multiple threads from former NetherRealm Studios contractors talking about the insane work conditions in that studio, covering points like at one point. There's a story about how there were 3 bathrooms, and one of the women's bathrooms was converted into a unisex bathroom because there were only 3 women employed in the entire studio. Somebody died during crunch, just at their desk. Somebody just died.
What?
In 2016, in NetherRealm, it was during crunch, and I guess they just had a heart attack and died.
What is NetherRealm?
NetherRealm Studios are the makers of Mortal Kombat
and Injustice.
Injustice.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So former employees on Twitter have said, but that came out as part of the whole conversation about crunch and how awful it is, and just shitty working conditions across the entire games industry. And apparently Epic is also quite bad for it.
Yeah,
really bad for it.
They're saying 70, 80-hour work weeks at Epic, and
80-hour work weeks is the number I was seeing thrown around about the NetherRealm stuff.
Wow. People saying the Epic folks saying how
it was similar in Epic as well.
Yeah, if you were lucky to have a weekend, asking for a weekend off was like asking to get fired or something crazy like that. This is so we were kind of chatting, and Katie, you and I were talking about this a little bit on Twitter. From my standpoint, so we have this in my main industry, automotive, where I've gone through not that I've wanted to, gone through situations where I worked 70, 80-hour work weeks through the weekend. Slept at my desk, slept under my desk, didn't see my family for a couple days. The majority of the time, I didn't want to do it. There are those times where you're so involved. Thanks for the post, Aaron. There are some times where you're so into something that you don't want to stop. That you have this passion for a project, and it's almost like there can be positive crunch as well. Because sometimes I'm working on something and I hit a peak. And my top performance is at the 11th hour when I'm right up against the wall and I'm pumping out content at the best part. But there's a difference between being running on all cylinders because you are enjoying doing something and because of bad management. And this is where you and I were chatting about this, Katie, is that the majority of companies out there, corporate and we'll talk about game. We'll kind of reference gaming because this is a gaming podcast, but it's happening everywhere. The majority of companies value in-company experience and not having management training and management experience to lead teams, and this is where you get these issues. Yeah,
100%. So, and unfortunately, that's something that's really prevalent in our workplace right now, and it's prevalent throughout the government. And even though we have project management training. Right, that's not relevant to going in as like a lead. It's not relevant to going into management, which is strange because it's technically a project management role. And the same thing goes on to like, at least in the federal government, like upping your rank as a federal employee as well. So, but there are no stepping stones for that. And especially from like coming from a teaching background, like I'm trained in how to deal with like my students and like how to give critical feedback, what is like a proper workload, how to deal with certain issues. And honestly, like that kind of training has made me extremely aware of when I deal with bad leadership. And you can see like the trickle down effect of like employee morality, of the hours that are worked, the disorganization, the products that are created. Like it all comes from leadership.
It totally does. It totally does. And when you have bad leadership, when you have bad management, that's where these problems start to happen. Good good managers see the people first before they see the project. Right?
Yeah, and you realize too that like if you care about human capital, being that like human capital equals more money for a company, right? Like you want to care for your employees because then they will create a product that is like a good product. If you have employees that are dying, obviously if you have employees that are dying over things, that's like horribly wrong and morally wrong, but also you're not, I mean, what are you doing at that point?
It's going to affect the culture of the people around you. It's going to make them feel demoralized and you know, changes how they put out their work, right? Because if you're in a place that you're not enjoying it and you're there to just earn your living, and you're getting you know, overworked because you're underpaid, you can't take time off, you're not seeing your family, you're not going to put out your best work.
No, and I think the biggest problem too, especially in corporate leadership, and this is probably more prevalent in the gaming industry because it's corporate, is the fact that leaders kind of view themselves on a pedestal and they never put themselves in the perspective or perception, or like they're not empathetic towards their own workers. And so when you view yourself as being higher than somebody else, you're much less likely to mentor them and to like inspire and to actually like kind of want them to work better. You know?
I totally agree. Totally agree. It's management is just a different facet of a group of people.
Or you get, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, you get and especially in education, you get management that doesn't have any experience in the actual field itself.
Exactly. That's another huge thing. Yes.
Because they don't understand like the methodology of how things work. They don't understand like the hours that it takes to develop a game. They create marketing expectations or expectations for deadlines or updates or releasing an unfinished product. And especially in the gaming industry, that's not realistic for the workers, but they still said it.
Totally true. Totally true. And it's unfortunately a really sad epidemic, and it really is just kind of American corporate culture. And I don't know how it is in the rest of the world. I'm actually going to assume it's probably pretty similar, but I know American corporate culture right now really is geared towards satisfying the shareholders and seeing that return on profit. And it doesn't matter if a product is good or bad. It feels like it, as long as the folks who are paying for it, not even the consumer, the folks who are paying for the company are satisfied. And that's a really kind of, not just kind of, it's definitely a shitty way to run a business. That's why you see a lot of these smaller companies, these, you know, you see indies, you see other folks don't have these issues because they're self-run, they fund their own work, and they do crunch. They obviously crunch. They're up against deadlines. I mean, I don't know if you saw the, what was the really great indie documentary,
oh god, it came out forever ago.
It came out so long ago. But it really showed, like, that showed crunch. That showed people like literally
Indie game the movie?
Indie game the movie, thank you. Up until that last second, they're working on bugs and figuring stuff out, and then they hit that upload button to get certified.
But it's like you said, they still have some, at least mostly, and obviously not in all cases, but they still have autonomy in what they're doing. It's kind of like those passion crunches, like, you know, like I want to work on this. This is like proof of my like love, and I can put it out there into the world and put my name on it.
You never want to crunch because your manager screwed up a timeline, and now you have to make up for it.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have to do QA for the next like 5 weeks, and it's repeating the same task over and over and over and over again. So
yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's horrible, and we've got to figure out a way to get out of it. And I think it all starts with management, and it's not on the project. It's not on the people that are developing this stuff. It really is having folks who know how to lead, who know how to run projects, who know how to plan accordingly, being at the forefront.
Yeah, and having like realistic expectations of your products at the same time. So taking that like value away from like the stakeholders and the money coming into your company and putting it back into your company's values itself. And I'm afraid that like companies like Blizzard and things like that are like falling in that direction, because now Blizzard has Overwatch, which is a really similar formula. It's going to be around for a while, and that team is probably always working on it.
Yep.
So and now they have the phone version of Diablo too, whatever
That's
that
coming
is.
in. Oh yeah.
Not
Diablo Immortal, I think.
Diablo Immortal. Diablo Eternal. Erron, what else? What other news do we have there that's maybe hopefully not as depressing as people dying at their desk?
So on the NetherRealm thing, in other news, Mortal Kombat 11 came out.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and apparently it's very good. And at the time of publishing of most reviews, the microtransaction store hadn't been activated yet, which is pretty standard practice. And then afterwards, after launch, there was a post on Reddit where somebody had sat down and timed out how long it took to generate the passive currency without doing any grinding. And then mathed out how many skins are in the game, how much the skins cost, and worked out that if you were to buy every skin in the game, you'd be out about $6,500.
Wow.
Oh, the gaming industry. Nothing's changed since I've been going.
So their math was based on the idea, a couple of factors, that you can only buy 5 skins at a time and they rotate every 6 to 8 hours. And the math was done without considering how much currency you earned from grinding the game, because the harder difficulties, which reward the more currency, were impossible to grind. Like they were tuned badly. You needed gear to grind them. So shortly after that, Ed Boon came out on Twitter talking about it was $6,440. He claimed it was bullshit because he says the vast majority of skins in Mortal Kombat 11 are not for sale. And just basically shat all over the story. He was like, the math's bullshit. The skins aren't for sale. It's not how it works. Simultaneously, NetherRealm Studios came out, issued an apology for the difficulty of the grinding in the game, a promise to patch and rebalance the difficulty, and they're giving everyone free currency so players can, quote, experience how the game was meant to be experienced.
Man, oh man, they're never gonna figure out this microtransaction stuff, are they?
I mean, I
feel like the solution is to just take it away.
Yeah.
And not have it. But, you know, again, with companies seeking more money. And that's like one reason too they're releasing unfinished products. And why like Anthem fell flat on its face. I was so sad for BioWare.
I think a lot of us were because we all love Mass Effect. We all love Dragon Age. I mean, you even like Mass Effect 3, and some of us actually like Mass Effect Andromeda. And then you get
EA. Your fucking mind. What did you say about Andromeda?
Multiplayer. And then EA came around and said, we need you to make a Destiny killer. And they released this unfinished product. I mean, that whole story of how people, when that trailer broke, like the people working on the game didn't even know what the trailer essentially was. Oh, God.
Why would you start branding it before
What other news we got going on, Erron? Before I get to bail to go to
I'll run through the rest of them real quick. Right. Going back to the crunch thing for a second, there was a story reported everywhere, but basically Respawn, makers of Apex Legends, they were talking about how they're planning on just sticking to seasonal updates instead of the Fortnite style of basically weekly updates, because they think sticking to just big seasonal updates will improve the quality of the game and avoid crunch. So they're doing it right. Yeah, that's good. They're also on the nicer side of microtransactions in that they don't really have a lot beyond skins, and their skins aren't that great, so nobody wants to buy them. Hey. 2 pieces of Persona 5 news.
Oh boy, yeah.
Persona 5 The Royal. The first trailer was out with a release date of 2020. It's
in the West, 2019 in Japan.
Yeah. It's just it's basically a remake with new content, new character. Everybody's kind of pissed that the new character isn't a female version of the main character, like what happened in Persona 3. And then also Persona 5S was revealed as Persona 5 Scramble, which is a Dynasty Warriors game for the Switch and PS4.
Yes. Everyone thought we were getting it. P5S? That's got to be Persona 5 Switch, right? Nope.
Yep.
It's a Muso game. It's a battle arena game.
Which I need to play Persona.
Oh, yeah, I haven't never played it either.
It's just so funny because now there's going to be a Persona 5 Dynasty Warriors game on the Switch. There's a Persona 5 Etrian Odyssey style series on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
The main character from Persona 5 is in Smash Brothers.
Yep.
And the actual fucking game's not on the system.
And don't forget there was that sort of Persona-based game on the Wii U, right? That had like the Persona Fire Emblem crossover game.
Yeah, the crossover. But
and there's still that Shin Megami Tensei. Wow, thank you.
You had it right the first time. It's okay.
Shin Megami Tensei. Wow, game coming. Coming out for the Switch at some point, right? SMT5. There we go. SMT5.
There it is. Let me see what else I got. Super Mario Maker 2 has a release date, June 28th.
They're going to have a direct pretty soon here if they want to start hyping people up.
Mm-hmm. World War Z sold 250,000 units on the Epic Game Store, which is really good. And people are pissed.
Of course they are.
Because they don't want the Epic Game Store to succeed. Because it's not on Steam. But everything that comes out on there as an exclusive has been doing just awesome numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another one. And that one had like no advertising. Like World War Z came out of nowhere. There was the rumor that it was coming out, and then nobody said anything about it. And then everybody was like, "Oh, by the way, it's out." Streamers are playing it today. It's out. It's what the fuck happened? But yeah, it's huge numbers. What else I got? Dwarf Fortress has that paid version. I talked about it.
Oh yeah.
I think a month ago. It's got a rumored price point of $20. Apparently, there was a leak. For a listing on itch.io, where that game also is, and it was at $20. So that seems fine. That game you can get 1 million hours out of. So for $20, why not?
That's always helpful.
And the actual game is non-graphic to up game is still free and will remain free. So if you don't want to pay $20, you can just play for free. That's everything. That's all the news. That's everything I got.
All right, we made it. Short. I could see I could imagine like a whiteboard with the stuff that Erron just crossing off of it as we're going through.
It's that conspiracy corkboard. It's memory purpose.
Yeah, conspiracy corkboard. I will mention one thing that Nintendo had their financial reports, and they're now up to essentially 37 million Switches sold over the lifespan in 2 years. So it's you have to get one. So it's a couple years worth of Switches. So that's actually a pretty good clip they're running at. It's still below. I think they sold just below the 17 million that they predicted they were going to sell this year. They were at like 16.995 or something. They were like 500 short of that number. So right about that time, right about that number that they wanted. So and they're predicting 18 million sold this year. There's a rumor of a Switch refresh that the date and time of this thing keeps changing, and then Nintendo basically said, no, we're not doing anything. We're not going to announce anything at E3, which could mean they're announcing something before E3 or after E3.
Yeah. What is what's up with the Switch and Xbox?
So that's interesting because there are Microsoft's doing a really good job of getting the Xbox Live service out there, and so they're by expanding it onto like iOS and mobile and PC, Mac, that kind of stuff, and on the Switch. And the I think Cuphead has some Xbox Live features, but I don't know if they've rolled out yet just yet. But you'll be able to earn achievements on Xbox games that they're creating for the Switch. And you'll be able to tie into Xbox Live communities and gain a lot of that interaction. And I think that's what's always sort of made Xbox a great online place was Live, right? I mean, the 360 was built on Xbox Live, not necessarily just the games.
Yeah.
But the Live infrastructure was fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. No other system.
Yep, and it still has nothing. Is even the Xbox One, the PS4, nothing has come close to what the 360 did in its heyday.
Yeah,
I mean, Live was so good and so revolutionary that people were mostly okay with buying the same console multiple times because production errors meant the thing would die on you.
Red Ring of Death was worth it.
Yeah, Red Ring of Death. Yep, exactly. And so I think Microsoft is trying to figure out a way to get back to at least some of the essence of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're allowing it on the Switch is great. There was always all those rumors of, Xbox Game Pass on Switch and the streaming stuff that was all sort of squashed at the moment. But I can still see some of the streaming. The streaming could still happen. Getting more of the getting more Xbox games on it. I still think putting some of the older Halos on Switch would be great.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I think there's opportunities right now, and Xbox and Nintendo have a great relationship going right now. I mean, they're literally down the street from each other, so they have a pretty good relationship happening right now. And I can imagine more of those types of things. And by the way, Cuphead is pretty phenomenal on Switch. So it's surprisingly enough, it may be the best version of the game because it looks wonderful, and you can play it on your couch when you're watching TV at the same time. So
I've seen people almost break their Switches though on that final boss.
I haven't gotten that far. So
I'm terrified. Oh my god, it looks so hard.
I'm excited.
Have your work cut out for you.
It's the Dark Souls of platformers.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
All right. With that, we're gonna put a stamp on this episode. It's 9:00. I've got to head over to the movie theater.
Avengers.
Katie, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Always great to chat with you. Where can we find you if we're looking to stalk you?
So if you would like, please don't stalk me. If you must contact me, or if you want to just check out my Twitter, I'm on Twitter at InvisiB, INVIZZYB, and then on Instagram as Catagram with a K.
Yes, always cool to check in. Scratty Bones, Mr. Erron, where can we find you?
You can find me glued to my monitor watching the fucking trailer for the new Deadwood movie.
Oh, that's right. I got to get back in it because I never finished the series. So
I've been waiting for this movie for like 13 years.
Nice.
I said it to somebody else earlier. They mentioned it to me. I watched the trailer and I said, "Oh my god, I'm old and so are they. I can't wait. It's gonna be so good." You can also find me on Twitch and Twitter.
There you go. You can find me also Twitch, Twitter, everywhere else at Dali Domovsky. You can find us at sidequesting.com, at sidequesting on the Twitters, and sidequesting TV on Twitch, and I believe maybe even on YouTube. I'm not sure.
And on Sunday, you can probably find us all crying on our couch.
You can find us all crying. I found some of those Game of Thrones Oreos, so that's what I'll be eating on Sundays.
Those exist?
They do exist. They do exist.
I have to go find some.
Yes. I just went to my local Kroger, and they had a stack of them.
Okay.
Good time. With that, we'll see you guys on the next side quest. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Did you guys know Jorah Mormont is Batman?
Wait, what?
The guy that plays the guy that plays Jorah Mormont is Batman in the Titans TV series. He's going to be on season 2 of it as Bruce Wayne / Batman.
Oh, that's right. That's awesome. Well, now I'm totally watching that show.
Also, if Tormund dies, guys, I'm done. I can't.
If he dies, yes.
Jorah Mormont's the one that's going to die. Like, he's done.
Hey, guys, they're both going to die.
Everyone's going to die.
Everyone's going to die. Actually, Jorah Mormont's going to be my prediction is he's going to be leading the Night's Watch.
Oh, he'll be the new Night King.
Or the new Night King, even better. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.